Hello and welcome to No Country for Old Pens. It's my retool of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I started to do this in NHL 20, kind of put it on the shelf and never got back to it. And then with the real life departure of Jim Rutherford, the Pens hiring a new GM and some uncertainty about which direction they're going to go, it seemed like a nice time to bring it back. Basically, if you didn't watch the episode 0, it's kind of a retool around Sidney Crosby. I'm going to keep Crosby, but then kind of got deals for Malkin and Letang around him to try to youthen up the roster a little bit. However, I realized I'm so used to playing expansion franchises that I kind of got out of the cadence, and there's some things I forgot to do. And so, first things first, I want to take, even just for my own knowledge, I want to take a quick look at my coaches and make sure my scouts are signed. So, in the coaching department, we have Isaiah O'Mara as our head coach. Look at that, A pluses almost across the board. Okay, we're going to keep him as long as possible. And he's an offensive guy, so I kind of like that. Reese Morrison, okay for an associate. We might be able to do better, but I mean, I'm not gonna make any changes in the first year or two. I'm just gonna see what I've got to work with. Trevor Chelios, distant clan cousin of Chris Chelios, I guess. They're Chelii everywhere, I guess. Juha Mariamaki, I guess. He got a B minus. I always look at teaching with goalies as the primary thing, and it's B minus. Could be better, but I mean, ideally by the time they're in the pros, they should be pretty close to fully taught. And then Pascal Boumedienne. Okay, try saying that 10 times fast. Generalist, defenseman for the associate. Horkoff, a physical generalist, and goalie coach has a teaching of A at the AHL level. That's primarily what I'd be looking for there. So I worry a little bit about the mismatch in that the sort of assistants, particularly in the minors, seem a little more defensive-minded, and then have an offensive head coach at the top, but I'm not going to bother dealing with it right now. Maybe as those contracts roll off, I might change the personnel. Oops. And then scouts. Okay, so first of all, I've got 3 to fill because I got 17 of 20. I should mention that I don't worry about salary for scouts. I mean, I figure you're paying $80 million plus for your players. You're going to want to get the best players you can. So I tend to not worry if I go over on scouting salary. Obviously, if it gets to the point where I got like $10 million or something in scouts, that might be a bit much. But for a normal course of business, that's fine. Also, just to be more realistic, I keep a scout at all of the NHL and AHL levels. I know some people will do like maximized for the draft, where they'll like cut down all of their AHL scouts and just live with Fog of War or whatever. That doesn't seem realistic to me. I mean, yeah, I'm a little frustrated with Fog of War. I kind of feel like when they play on TV 82 times a year, you ought to have a pretty good scouting report on them. But I mean, whatever. It is what it is. So what else do I got? I mean, I got a bunch of good region fits. My WHL guy is an E. That's kind of awful. C minuses for the Q and OHL. 2 guys in the USA. Excuse me. 2 guys in the USA right now. NLA, SHL, Liga, Russia. And Russia's a D minus as well, overall. So I think for my immediate needs, I think I'm going to shore up WHL and Russia, because the one scout I have in there is kind of shabby. And then the third scout, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that third scout. Maybe I'll just leave it open for now and think about it a little bit. So, let's go look for some scouts who are good in Russia and the WHL, and also have better overalls than what we have. Victor Buse, WHL of A. Oops, sorry, alright. Or I guess wants us to do Russia first. So this guy's A+ in Russia, and he's a C overall. So let's get him, Zdenka Kubos. Let's get him as my new Russia scout. And then probably when the other guy whose contract ends, I'll let him roll off. And then we want a we at least want a WHL scout. We want to kind of do the same thing where we get a guy who can take over as the permanent guy, and then we'll let the old guy roll off there. Okay, so we're looking for a guy. We want to get good familiarity with the region and good overall. So A-, A+, Bergevin's an A+ in the region. Haley Gillies is an A+ in the region. Haley Gillies is a C, Bergevin's a C- and older, so let's go with Haley Gillies. You are our new AHL scout, or WHL, sorry. Then for the last, let's look at the distribution of prospects. Because usually in USA, there's only one region that's really heavy on prospects, and then usually in Scandinavia, Allsvenskan tends to lag behind the other two. And then Europe, there also is another one where there's usually only one really deep league, and then the others are kind of just 5 or 10 prospects. So let's look at USA first and see if he... So 28, so about 40 prospects there, about 40 prospects there, about 40 prospects there. So oddly, this is one where they're kind of spread out fairly evenly. Okay, yeah, Dell is less than 22 prospects total. Yeah, 12 or 15 for NLA. Ice has about 20. Extra Liga, a little bit more. So I probably want my Europe scout to start in Extra Liga just because they got the most prospects there. And then, yeah, Allsvenskan is like 20-ish prospects. SHL has about 70. Liga has about 70. So, yeah, we want to have general, and that tends to be true every year. I mean, I've occasionally seen Allsvenskan have larger numbers, but not often. So, other than moving my Dell scout, my Europe scout rather, but even then they're all about the same. Maybe Extra Liga's a little bit more than the rest, but okay. But I may also go based on, kind of base it on how the prospect pool shapes up and what slots I want to scout as the season rolls on. Now, I've seen people who go in and assign the scouts manually and they get better results. I may do that in future years. I think for this year's draft is kind of busted anyway, so I'm just going to auto-scout it and just deal with what I deal with. And then next year, maybe I'll play around with, and if I do that, I'd pause the recording and not have you sit through 20 minutes of clicking on Assign Scout. But yeah, I think for this year, I'll just let auto scouting handle everything, and then next year's when we'll really get into it. All right, so I'm also not going to bother with the 20th scout because I just don't know where I'd put that person right now. Other than maybe put a second person in one of the Canadian leagues to get some more depth there. But, okay, we're pretty good. The other thing, I'll now going back to the main thing. We had free agent signings out on 3 or 4 people, so I'm waiting to hear back from them as of when we cut as of when the first episode stopped. That was a couple young defensemen. Then there's Madison Bowie, Jeremy Waugh, Brendan Perlini as a forward, and then as a depth forward, I liked Michael Grabner just because he's fast and he can play either wing. So I have contracts out to those guys as we pick this up. The other quick thing I wanted to do before we get moving is there was one more trade. It's one of my kind of like fetish item type guys. I'm always kind of intrigued by Jesse Puljujarvi of the Oilers. He's got an interesting package of speed and size. I mean, he's like 6'3", but he's also fast. So I want to at least see how much Edmonton holds him in regard. I don't think I really have a lot of room to make more moves right now, but let's take a look at what they want for him. And what do we got? Savard at a 4th. Tuck. I'm not gonna do that. Kapanen, straight up. That doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, Marino, no. Dumoulin. I mean, let's say a couple of these offers look like, particularly Savard looks interesting. Maybe later in the year if I'm not competing this year, and we're looking at more of a long-term rebuild. Maybe around the deadline, I might do this deal. Or maybe the Kapanen deal. But for now, I'd say the answer is no. The other thing I wanted to look at on my own roster was I'm not crazy about Mike Matheson. And again, this is probably more. This is the contract. It's like 6 years, $5 million for a guy who's just not that great. So I'm gonna at least see what he's offered. I think it's a thing where I need him for now, but as I fall out of the race, what could I get for him? Okay, a 3 and a 5, a 3 and Halak. I mean, 3 and a 5 would be actually pretty good down. I mean, if I could still get that in January or February if I'm not competing. I think I need him for now, but I think if this turns into the first year, if I'm competing in year 1, I don't think I do that deal. If I fall out of the race and I'm scrubbing in January or February, I think that's a deal I look at then. So, all right, I'm going to get into the preseason, and we'll see those various signings happen, and we'll see how the preseason results go, and then we'll start setting lines and everything. Okay, Jeremy Waugh signed. Grabner went to Ottawa. Interesting. Okay. I didn't recall him having another offer on him, but alright. Bowie signed. Perlini signed. I'm not going to try to replace Grabner because I'm at 49. The other thing is I'm at 49 contracts right now. So I liked Grabner because he was fast. I don't necessarily... If I didn't get him, I don't necessarily need anyone else. I guess people are interested in Tanev, so I mean, if I need to make another move at some point, it's good to know. I like Tanev as a player. Again, the contract's a little long for him, 5 years for a guy who's likely to be a bottom 6. I mean, that seems a little long. I was surprised Rutherford signed him for that long. Okay. I probably ought to edit my trading block and get some of these guys off the block for now. Alright, time to set up my actual lines. Okay, so I'm going with, excuse me, Gensel, Crosby, and Tuck as the top line. I had been doing Zucker, Dubois, and Kapanen on the second line. That makes a nice top 6. A little bit bummed they're only +1s, but what are you going to do? Alright, on the third line, I got McCann centering for Mangiapane, and now that's going to be Josh Hosang, who I kind of rescued from the Islanders. I think that deal was like Bluger and a 7th, so it was pretty much just shuffling deck chairs at the bottom. And then bottom fourth line is Tanev, Jankowski, and Dylan Dubé. And you know what? It's a fourth. I mean, it's a fourth line. It is what it is. And no chemistry, but it's not negative chemistry either. Defense pairs: Pedersen and Savard, Dumoulin and Anderson, Matheson and Marino. I'm cool with all that. I think the CPU set it up as Anderson and Pedersen, but I kind of liked the idea of a young guy with an old guy on this line, and then a young guy and an old guy on this pairing. And the chemistry stayed the same either way. So I thought mixing and matching young guys and old guys was kind of the right way to do it. Obviously, my goalies are Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith. My scratched players, I got Aston Reese and Sevier. As a third guy, I probably want to bring a defenseman up from the minors, like Ruedel or Ricola, just so I have 7 defense, so I have an extra body on defense if I get an injury. So I'm going to quickly do that. And I think of the two, I'm probably going to go with Ruedel because he's not. Ricola is still, well, he's 26, so he's not that prospecty either. Well, Ruedel's 30, so I think I'm going to go with Ruedel for now. Oh, you know what? Ricola does not subject to waivers, so he's a guy who can come up and go down as he pleases, whereas if I have to send Ruedel down for any reason. So I think I'm going to make Ricola the guy for now because I can bring him up and send him down without any penalty. I think the line errors are in the minors, so let me... Okay. I don't really care about my lines in the minors. I mean, honestly, the Penguins don't have a lot of great prospects anyways at the moment. So I'm a little worried. Poulin's supposed to be one of my main guys. I wonder if I... so, alright, I lied. Maybe I'll try to get him on a slightly better chemistry. Just let it go for now. Take my chances. But just to see who we got. Yeah, a bunch of kind of scrubby guys. Defense, Joseph is the one kind of true prospect we might have to look at here. And our goalies are nobody special. Starrett and Lagasse. I mean, those guys were kind of spare parts in other years, so I don't see them as being all that exciting either. Alright, so we are basically ready to start the season. Oh wait, we got to get those 2 new coaches. We got to make sure those guys went to the regions that... I'm also going to clear my trading block for now, so I don't get harassed with a bunch of stupid stuff. Okay, so Kubos went to Russia as we planned, and the other was WHL. Gillies went to WHL. So everyone's where they're supposed to be on my scouts. So we are basically ready to start the season. What I usually do is I sim a month at a time, and then I kind of check stats and see how things are going at each month. So that's what we'll do here. Actually, just so the league gets to the right day, we'll make this the right day. Simulate up to this day. And I already did that, so we're fine. Hey, we won we're 2-0. We're off to a fast start. Go, go, go. Oh no, mild concussion for POJ. Oh, Zucker wrist sprain, November 4th. Head coach could... Ooh, Ooh, Dylan DeMello. Is he somebody I'd want to claim? He's okay, but I mean, it's the name popped out because I've had him in other franchises in past years, back when he was a little more prospecty. But at 2.9 million, I don't think he moves the needle for me. For maybe being a third pair guy. Let's take a quick look at the draft class. I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, especially since we don't even have a first round pick. And also our scouts haven't really unearthed much. So you know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to bother looking. Alright, Sevier and 2 4s for a third. No. No thank you. Why does it keep doing that? Unless it's like a morale thing. I thought Here, you know what? Let's just do best one. No, I'm not trading. Do one. Head coach replaces player. Replace the player. Alright. So we finished our first month 7-3. It's actually pretty good. I mean, it's really good. And hey, Pierre-Luc is our leading scorer. So I mean, in terms of getting the trade off to a good start, that's pretty sweet. All right, let's take a look. We are third in the division with 14 points. Philly kind of the big dog at the moment. Scoring 3.2 per game. Goals 1 point, only allowing 1.7. The defense is strong so far. I mean, this is all small sample size, so it could change. But 23% on the power play, 83% penalty kills. These are looking like some pretty positive numbers so far. I mean, I don't want to put too much stock in them this early. I just want to check. Sorry, I want to check which go league wide. Who's looking good? Flyers, Toronto at 18 points each are the top of the league. Boston, Winnipeg, New York, Rangers, Dallas, Buffalo, and in our conference we would currently be 7th. Okay. All right then. But again, this is all early. It's not, not truly important yet. Points leaders, we're getting good contributions from a lot of different guys. I mean, we played 10 games, so nobody's at point per game, but there's a lot of guys who are hanging in there, pretty good pace. Dubois is looking sharp. Crosby, Kapanen, Gensel only 1 goal, but okay. McCann's got 5 goals. Tuck, he's got 7 points, but no goals. Dubé, Hosang, well, you got bottom 6 guys, but I mean, he not. John Marino, 3 goals. All right. Okay. Those aren't some. Some decent numbers. Let me see what the goalies look like. It's actually playing a pretty equal split between DeSmith and Jari. And in fact, DeSmith has the better numbers. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But whatever, they're both doing really well. So, I mean, and in terms of results, I can't complain. So, I mean, it feels like we could be doing more on offense, but we're pretty solid on defense and goaltending at the moment. Let's go league-wide and just see who's winning the various categories so far. McKinnon is your points leader with 25. Colorado must be doing pretty well. Him and Landeskog are 1-2. Wheeler at 21. Eichel at 18. Goals. McKinnon also the leading goal scorer. Eichel, nobody else in double digits. Eichel, Kaprizov, Laine, Marchessault. Where's Ovechkin? Because Ovechkin always leads the league in goals at the end of the year. No matter how low he is, he'll always find a way to be there. Sorry. If I sound bitter, it's because I'm a lifelong Pens fan. But this game seems to love Ovechkin in the sim. And assist leader, Landeskog, Wheeler, Carlson, McKinnon. Okay. Plus minus isn't all that exciting, but again, Landeskog, Ekblad, Sammy Niku. All right. He's showing some decent stats. Goalies. Take a quick look at what's going on with goalies. Carter Hart leading the league in wins. Bishop and Rask right behind him. Hellebuck, Shesterkin. Shutouts. Okay, Anderson at 3. A bunch of guys at 2. Yeah, usual sorts of things. Your first real goaltender in terms of save percentage is Anderson at 955. And then Rask at 940. Others are kind of like backups. And then same measure for goals against. Anderson a 129. To Smith at 150. Rene at 182. Rask at 2. So, I mean, obviously, you know, this is early and those are going to come back to normal, which is the one thing that concerns me a little about my overall standings place is that, you know, if I'm being held up by wonky goaltending and my offense is okay, what's going to happen when that comes crashing to earth? But whatever. You know what I didn't do? I feel bad about this. I didn't actually go in and check who they had made captains because obviously Letang and Malkin were both captains. Now, Crosby, Gensel, and Zucker. I guess I don't have a huge problem with that. It's a little weird. I mean, I tend to have my what I usually do is 2 offensive captains, 1 defense, and then I don't like the offensive captains to be on the same line. So I tend to put the 2 offensive guys on different lines. So I'm thinking maybe really quick I'm going to give my give Gensel's A to Dumoulin since he's got the most seniority of the guys that are left. Sorry, Jake. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry I forgot to do it before the season started. Don't take it personal, man. Just out of curiosity, you want to see if there's anything interesting in free agency. Nothing. Top 6 type forwards, top 40s. There's no sleepers here or anything. Okay, whatever. I'm just window shopping. Okay, but you know, we're actually in really pretty good shape going into November, so let's get on to our second month of this kind of semi-rebuild. See where it takes us. Away we go. The other thing is, look how fast it sims. This is PS5, by the way. So, Barre Boulay. I like Barre Boulay. I'm not sure I want to give up a 3rd and a 5th. I mean, part of what I'm trying to do is undo Rutherford trading everything away. And so, while I kind of like Barre Boulay from other sims and from general reputation in the real world, I don't think I'm going to do that deal right now. Tyler Mott. I don't recall him being anything all that interesting. Okay, he's 25, so he's young-ish. I don't know what he would really get me. He's got a little bit of room left to grow, but I mean, at the same time, I'll let that pass. I figure the way I look at waivers is if it's a guy who's going to be a difference maker, that's one thing. But if it's just somebody just shuffle deck chairs, I can do that with free agency. Ooh, Rasmus Anderson's out for a little while. Dumoulin for a 3rd and a 4th next year. Not while I'm still in contention. And in fact, I mean, look, I'm still 12-7, so I mean. Zucker for a 2nd rounder now. No. Nah. Why does everyone think I'm a seller? have 3 draft picks outside the 7th round. It's a good year for rookies. Screw you. Let's take a, well, actually, we probably should just finish the month. Let's just finish the month first, because we're so close to the end of the month, so never mind. I was going to take a look at the draft class, but we're like 2 days from the end of the month, so. Okay, we made it to December 1st. We're still above 500, but we have kind of slid back down towards, a little bit towards 500. In terms of standings place, we've, looks like, dropped down to 4th. And in fact, the division has, oh geez, it's generally really tight. Look at that. First place, 31 points. 7th is 27. So, I mean, yeah, standings place almost meaningless at this point because it's so tightly bunched. Damn. Columbus is in first. Do I want to see? Do I want to torture myself and see how well Malkin's doing? If there's any good sign here, it's that all of our wins are regulation, which is the tiebreaker. So that's kind of exciting. 3 goals for, that sank down from 320 or so. Goals against is 238. Power play number still above 20%. Penalty kill still. I mean, special teams. I mean, maybe I'm using old school. Maybe I'm using older numbers, and maybe these numbers should be different. But I always look at 20%, above 20% on power play, and above 80% on penalty kill is pretty good. So that's. I mean, league wide. I kind of want to see what those numbers look like league wide, though, real quick. So league wide, goals for, the top of goals for is 342, and we're at 3, which is, oh, there we go, placement 14th. So I mean, we're about middle of the pack there. Or is that? So we're kind of middle of the pack on goals for. Goals against. We are. Oh wait, sort of the correct way. Actually, we're still. I mean, we're still 5th in goals against. So I mean, we're still solid on defense. We're just would like probably like us to be scoring a little more. But okay, let's take another quick look at some individual players. Crosby's now moved into the points lead, as you'd kind of hope he would be. Gensel right behind him. McCann, Dubois still doing pretty well. Tuck finally got a couple goals. Kapanen, 14. Hosang. All right, Hosang. He's doing all right for himself. Mangiapane even kind of taken off and got up to 10 points. I mean, it's weird. It says our scoring went down, but, you know, at the same time, we were starting to see some signs of life out of some people that I hadn't seen signs of life out before. So, goals. McCann is the leader for the team. Dubois and Crosby, 8 each. And 15 goals for Crosby. Plus 11 for McCann, plus 8 for Marino. Now, let's take a look at our friend between the pipes. The starts are starting to even out. Jari is still, or DeSmith is still doing better in most of the statistical measures. Actually, despite having played 2 fewer games, but Jari is starting to get his playing time. Which, you know, Jari's the one I want to play because he's younger. He's still got room to grow. So, I mean, I'd prefer that he kind of take over the job. League-wide, let's do that. Let's see who our league leaders are. Well, since we're already on goalies, let's start here. So, wins-wise, got Carter Hart's your top guy. Got 3 at 13, Bishop, Rask, Dubnik. Leonard, Hellebuck, and Quick at a 12. Shutouts, Antti-Ranta at 5. Okay. Nice. Hellebuck at 4. Got Bishop and Anderson at 3. Save percentage. The first one you'd consider the primary starter is Antti-Ranta. Caden Primo's actually up in the majors. That's interesting. Tuukka Rask at 933. Anderson 929. he kind of slid back a little bit since the first opening stats. In terms of your goals against, again, Ranta 172, the only major guy under 2. Anderson 207, Rask 211, Bishop 216. Okay, and then we want position players since we didn't do that. And that's going to be points for starters. Marsh Assault. That's a guy I've never seen. I mean, I've seen him poke his nose into the top 10 once or twice, but I've never seen him lead in the league in points before. So that's kind of interesting. But it's also, look how close the top 10 in points is. I mean, down to 10 is a span of 4 points. So, I mean, the competitions here, there's no one who's really kind of stepped out in front of everyone else. McDavid, Draisaitl, Eichel, Austin Matthews, Marner, McKinnon, William Karlsson, Kopitar, and Blake Wheeler. Goals. Okay, now we got a 3-way tie. Marchessault, Kucherov, and Nathan McKinnon. Line A, Eichel, and Stepan. There's another guy I don't usually see make his presence felt, but okay, Stepan with 16 goals. Kubalik, 15, McDavid, Matthews. Sisters. 24 for William Karlsson, Wheeler 21, Landeskog, Draisaitl, Voracek 20, Scheifele, Yandel, Point, Marner, McDavid. It's weird. And plus minus to whatever extent you care about such things. It's the Vegas has got top 3 lock there. Rasmus Dahlin, the first defenseman to show up. Cam Fowler as the first kind of more defensive defenseman to show up on there. All right, I'm going to inflict a little bit of pain on myself real quick. Evgeny Malkin, how are you doing? Okay, he's having an okay year. I mean, I don't begrudge that. I mean, you know, it's fine. I mean, all right, and we're in the neighborhood, so let's, Chris Letang, how are you? Oof, okay. Sorry, Calgary? Don't take it personal. Oh, boy. So, all right, the one other thing I kind of glossed over just because it's so close is if you went to the Eastern Conference right now, we would be in the 8th playoff spot. But remember, everything is so close that it's hard to really draw much in the way of conclusions. And yeah, Vegas is out in front for league-wide. San Jose, Toronto, a point behind them. Boston, Anaheim, Florida, Buffalo, Winnipeg, Columbus, and Philly all at or above 30 points right now. All right, well, let's keep going one more month. This is kind of going to be the decider, I suppose. This is going to be like, are we truly in contention, or are we going to have to start looking at this as a multi-year retool? I'll check the draft class at the break. I must have set something up wrong, because it usually doesn't ask me about replacing players this much. It's probably a settings thing. I'm going to have to check between episodes. No, I don't want to be giving up any draft picks right now. I'm just not feeling that at the moment. Oof, we are plummeting back toward 500. That's not a great sign. And we have reached January of 2021, and we are at 21-18. No ties, which is kind of strange, I guess. You usually bounce into, or, you know, overtime loss, you at least bounce into 1 or 2 of those by accident. And yeah, in terms of the division, we are starting... Well, the good news, glass half full, is we are still in the group that's competing. The Islanders and the Hurricanes are the two that have started to fall out of the bottom, whereas we're still in a place where third is literally right above us, and even first is still only 7 points away. So, I mean, we're still well in the mix, but we are at the bottom of the mix right now. So that's a little bit concerning. Again, looks like our goals against went down even more. We're at 279. Our scoring's causing problems now. Our goals against, or I'm sorry, that was goals for. So our goals against, I mean, the good news is we got the best goals against in the division. And in fact, we're fourth in the league. I mean, we're playing great defense, but we're not scoring. So we're losing a lot of 2-1 games, I guess. And power play, 21% is not terrible, but it's not, I mean, it could be better. It's still in the top half of the league. And our penalty kill is really pretty good. It's like top 7, top 8. I mean, somehow the Pens have become a hard-nosed physical defense team or something. Or just a team that doesn't score a lot of goals, however you want to interpret it. Oops, sorry. Hit that button by accident. But yeah, so we are kind of outside the playoffs looking in, but it's not so bad that we want to quit just yet. But we got work to do. Boston's at the top. League-wide, San Jose is now the top team. Boston, Vegas, Toronto. Harumph. Crosby, our leading points getter, with 33. Dubois looks like he kind of fell off a cliff a little bit between this month and last month. McCann, Gensel, Tuck. Okay. I mean, we're halfway through the season, and McCann's the only guy on pace for 30 goals, and then Dubois and Crosby are on pace for 20 goals. And maybe Gensel might crack 20 as well. So, I mean, and then Mangiapane is doing decent for a bottom 6 guy, unless the CPU moved him up to a higher line, but he's doing okay. Kapanen, I wish he was doing a little better. Zucker, I saw that he got hurt a couple times, so I'm willing to give him some benefit of the doubt. If you're looking for guys who would be considered disappointments, I mean, Dubé maybe a little bit. I mean, but he's a fourth liner. He's not supposed to be doing great. Our goaltending, let's see it. Jari has now taken over the job at least, and the numbers are about the same between him and, I mean, other than proportionally based on number of starts. I mean, in terms of save percentage and goals against are within spitting distance of each other, and they're both, well, DeSmith's got a few wins. He's a little above 500, whereas Jari's 12-12. So, okay. Let's do the league. Always fun. Your wins leader, Tuukka Rask at the moment. Bishop Hart, Leonard, Dubnyk, Anderson. Shutouts leader, Anderson, Ranta now both at 5. Quick and Hellebuck at 4. Olmark and Markstrom popping into the radar. Okay. Your top goalie and save percentage, Antti Ranta, Tuukka Rask. And then Hellebuck now in 3rd. Goals against, same, Jake Allen, or wait, sorry, that's the worst. Never mind. Antti Ranta, Tuukka Rask. Anderson sneaks into 3rd ahead of, well, Hellebuck's only got 17 games, so he's either splitting time or he was injured or something. And then Ben Bishop. So there's our goalies. I think since we're at the halfway point, at this time around, I'll probably also look at who's doing well amongst rookies. McKinnon is back in the scoring lead. In fact, Marchessault, well, I mean, you know, he's hanging in there. It just continues to be close down the top 10. Hey, what do you know? Alex Ovechkin. Surprise, surprise. Sorry, I just, you know, I almost have, like, feel this paranoia that they got, like, special code in the sim to make Alex Ovechkin must lead the league in goals. McDavid's back up there, too, now. That's cool. Barkov. No, I mean, again, I don't wish ill on Malkin. It's just, yeah, we made the move. Let's live with it. Marner and Matthews back-to-back. Goals, McKinnon, Eichel and Ovi, McDavid, Malkin, Marchessault. Was the letter M is overrepresented? It's Sesame Street. This scoring table is brought to you by the letter M and the number 21. Assists, Carlson leads the league, Landeskog, Backstrom, OEL, Panarin, Carlson. Okay. Nobody truly surprising there. Carlson leads in plus 27. Cam Fowler still hanging on. If you're looking for kind of a defenseman's representative. Eric Gustafson. Okay, there's a guy that's a little bit of a surprise. So let's take a quick look at the rookies and see who's at least made an impact this year. Okay, Kirill Kaprizov, 30 points. He's leading the league and I'm assuming he's going to be leading the league in goals too. 18 and 12. Lafreniere doing all right, 28 points, 10 and 18. Morgan Frost, Barrett Hayton for the Coyotes, Vitaly Kravtsov for the Rangers, doing okay. Dylan Cousins, starting to get into more ordinary rookie contributions. Cal Foote, Luke Johnson, Zach McEwen. Moritz Seider. All right. Oh, what the heck? Let's check rookie goalies too. There's really, two or three main guys. I would say Shesterkin. No, I mean, I would expect to be in the mix, considering the Rangers pretty much cleared Lundqvist out to give him the job. And he's, I mean, you know, he's doing a nice, let's not be, 3.29 in today's NHL is not that great. Colin Delia, okay, he's about a half of a starter, or maybe slightly less than a half of a starter. And then Ilya Sorokin only has 9 games under his belt so far, but still doing okay for the few games he got. So, I mean, certainly your early leader for the Calder is Kirill Kaprizov. I think the last thing we do before we kind of wrap this episode up, now, since we haven't looked at it yet, let's take a look at the draft class real quick. And I'm going to give a glance to the top here, but I don't have a pick anyways, so, yeah, okay. And unless I want to go trade for a top 5, I'm not touching any of these guys. So I'm assuming it's more likely I'll be picking somewhere in the 30s or 40s. Like, not the bottom. I don't see myself falling all the way to the bottom and picking in the 33, 34 range. But I could see myself falling like in the 35, 38 to 45 type range. And I don't have anybody scouted in there. So we're getting to the point. I mean, I'm going to give it a little more time to narrow down. Maybe around February is when I'm going to start trying to officially scout slots. But yeah, there's an uncomfortable gap right where my pick might likely fall. So, and just eyeballing it, I mean, Jensevsky may be he may be my early candidate for the guy that I should consider. Though Quentin Delmore, my scouts think he is a gem. Interesting, even though he's only a top 4D. So, yeah, well, you know, I mean, obviously we still don't really have enough information on slot so I don't want to read too much into any of this. Delmore is my only gem, in fact. So, all right. But it's something to take a quick look at, and we hadn't taken any sort of look at it yet, so I wanted to do so. So I think that is where we'll wrap it up for this time, and so we leave at the beginning of calendar year 21, and we'll see you next time.